Hello lovely humans, welcome back to my channel and my first video of 2023. I thought it would be completely apropos to start off with an organizational video because I don't know about you, but the organizing New Year's resolution bug has bit me real hard. I am ready to organize all the things and make everything gorgeous and everything beautiful in my home once more. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jamie Wolfer and welcome to my lifestyle channel. And as I'm currently filming this video, I am 23 weeks pregnant with our fourth child. So inherently what happens at this phase in life is I want to start nesting and cleaning and making my home perfect for a small child who can barely see 18 inches in front of their own face. Why? I get that life will be easier. I'm still gonna do the organizing, but for some reason, this nesting desire within me has caused me to want to put everything into perfectly clear, labeled bins that will automatically make my life easier. And you know what? That is a complete myth. It's a complete myth. And one of the areas that needs a god ton of attention is our pantry storage. I am forcing myself to film this video in front of this god-awful backdrop to be really realistic with you guys. And I'm making this video as much for myself as I am for you guys because one of the things inherently that I want to be organizing right now is our pantry and general kitchen items, and the internet is literally flooded with all of this organizational advice right now, or all these beautifully organized pantries, and every single Pinterest mom is dusting off those graphics to reshare them onto her feed to remind you that her pantry is perfect and you are subpar because your peanuts are still in the original packaging from Costco. So right now we're going to break down the 4 myths of pantry and kitchen organization. And then at the end, because I love an ironic twist, I will be sharing some of the pantry organizational tools that we have been using and slowly implement. Oh, my necklaces have been chaotic this whole time? Why didn't you tell me? And then I will be sharing the pantry organizational tools and implementations that we have been using that I found to be really effective, but only when I stay on top of them. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. And we're gonna focus a little bit more heavily on the pantry side of things, simply because that is where I've spent more of my time and energy and effort into keeping it clean and organized, even though it currently looks like this, because that's real life. Myth number 1, start with organizing first. Maybe. But that's if you happen to already be a relatively clutter-free person. It's a little difficult, not to mention nonsensical, to be organizing items that are either down to the bare minimum and crumbs left into whatever packaging you have left, and or may not be expired. Part of the organizational process means decluttering first, and this part can feel either really cathartic for some people or really stressful for others. It means taking a frank assessment at all of the items you already have in your pantry and going, what needs to go? Myth number 2, pretty containers and labels will save everything. It's so hard not to fall into that trap, especially when you see all these gorgeous it girl pantries and you're like, I could do that. I could, if I just tried hard enough and believed in myself and bought all the containers in the container store, I could have a pantry that looks like that. But the fact of the matter is, it's extremely expensive. Labels don't always stay cute, and sometimes the original packaging that your item comes in makes a lot more sense than putting it into something new. I don't know about you, but on my organizational journey with my pantry, the amount of times I've gone to pour one product into another container only to realize that I had misguessed the volume that needed to go in this container, and then I had some leftovers, and then I had to decide whether I wanted to get a new jar dirty or make this one work and force feed my children to eat the remnants of the first original packaging jar. It starts to become a lot more of a complicated process than you really thought you signed up for. Myth number 3, your life will be easier if it's all organized. No. It'll look nicer, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easier. It still takes effort. And myth number 4, it'll be a quick fix. It can be, sure, if you have $1,000 to drop on reorganizing your pantry. Or instead, perhaps we have to do the uncomfortable work of looking internally and realizing that's more of a lifestyle change than it is a 4-figure shopping trip to the container store. So instead, let's talk about the reverse. Truth number 1, start with decluttering and buying less. This one gets uncomfortable. Are you actually eating through all of the food you have left in your pantry before you're buying new stuff? Maybe you're not because it's not organized and you can't tell. Or are you buying stuff just out of habit and not really reworking your purchasing and spending habits to start at the root cause of why your pantry may be getting disorganized and may be getting overly cluttered? because you keep buying stuff. Which, don't misunderstand me, I'm not saying you can't buy groceries, all right? What I am saying is it's more of a lifestyle change than it is a one-time fix. Truth number 2, containers support an existing system. They don't fix it. A nice little piggyback off of point number 1, just because you spend a bunch of money on a bunch of containers does not automatically mean that you're going to be good at this. It's going to take effort, it's going to take work, and this is something that I regularly have to go back to every other month or every 3 months or so and rework my entire pantry all over again, because we have not developed the habits yet of installing it as a good system for our whole family. We have purchased these items, we have used these items, they're great, they're beautiful, they organize things, but they don't always stay that way. Sometimes the original packaging makes a lot more sense than putting it in a clear container. Yes, the clear containers with the beautiful labels are more calming and more visually stimulating to look at. We enjoy that aesthetic so much more, but what if there are instructions? What if there's an expiration date? What if there's information that's communicated on the original packaging that you need to have? You can, of course, cut it out and attach it to the new container, but that's just adding extra steps of work. Maybe, again, like our previous scenario, you thought this would fit into the new packaging and it doesn't, and now you have a conundrum where you've got a partial and then a full, where you have to get a new container dirty. Which brings us to truth number 4. If you live alone, it could be easy as pie. If you live with other humans, it could be difficult. We work really hard to empower our kids to help out with chores and help out with organizing, and so we have our twins, they're 13, help us to put stuff away, and our 5-year-old helps us to put stuff away too. But that means that if they're not completely supervised, sometimes they get a little lazy with it. Sometimes they just chuck things or place it on an open shelf. It requires darn near constant attention to make sure that it stays looking Pinterest perfect. And finally, truth number 4, you can have 2 of the following: fast, well done, inexpensive. If you want your pantry switched around really quickly, you're probably gonna need to spend a lot of money on buying all of the correct containers and all of the correct labels, or maybe you have a Cricut and you can do it yourself, and it makes it not very cost effective. Or you can do it slowly over time, but then it's not fast. It's still well done, but you're able to displace the cost of that over an extended period of time. And if you decide to get it done really quickly and on a budget, it may not live up to your expectations. And again, we're not addressing the root cause. At every step of your kitchen and pantry organization, I encourage you to ask yourself, is this practical for our family? Is this something we can feasibly keep up with, or am I putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole of a situation that probably needs us to address something a little bit deeper here? You can absolutely have a gorgeous, gorgeous girl pantry without having a single clear organizational bin from the home edit. It's quite possible. Is it going to be Pinterest worthy? Maybe not. Is it gonna get the job done? Absolutely. So now that I've gone through all of these myths that I personally needed to work through and remind myself again, let me show you some of my absolute favorite tools that we use in our pantry organization that help us stay on top of things. It's not a fix-all, it's not a cure-all, and not all of it looks perfect, but they help us stay on the path of organization a lot more effectively as long as I'm keeping up with them. I found that one of the root causes for a lot of our clutter or a lot of these situations was bags. Bags being tossed on top of one another, stacked on top of one another, and they just started to get really confusing and really chaotic. I can organize bottles and I can organize boxes, but bags are really difficult sometimes. And that includes remnant snacks, that includes pasta, a whole myriad of things. You know, you have a pantry. A lot of stuff is stored in bags. So I found what works best for us is to put bags into crates, boxes, or bins to keep them all in one centralized location. That means that all of the kids' snacks tend to go into this one particular basket. It's not cute, it's a little chaotic, and every once in a while I still have to go through and empty it out or pull out snacks and force feed them to my children to say, eat these before they go bad. Thank you very much, mommy's on a cleaning spree. And I will do my best to link either what I have specifically or lookalikes in the description box down below if you are interested in trying out any of these things, but I highly encourage you check out the items you have in your own home first before going out to purchase these. I can tell you some of these items we have had for like 5+ years, and some of them I just bought a couple months ago. So this has been a long, slow process of incorporating new organizational items that work best with our family. I absolutely love these specific containers for more of our bulk dried goods. So our beans and our pasta, because if I can keep them level enough, I can stack them, I can set them off to the side, and it's not something I need to regularly access. If it's something I need to grab with frequency, it either needs to be in drawer form or easily accessible from the top. So because this is bulk storage, these boxes work really well for me. I also like them because they have straight sides. I cannot understand why some organizational tools have the slanted sides, like the diagonal sides. That makes literally no sense to me. There's a fly in here. I want them to be square so they could butt right up next to each other and I'm not losing that gap of space in between. I also don't label these. I have multiple Cricut machines and I'm obsessed with them, and I refuse to label these containers because what if I don't keep them as those containers? What if I need to rework my pantry situation because every couple months I gotta go in there and fix it all up anyways? What if it no longer becomes the pasta bin? What if I need to use it for something else? I don't want any sort of gummy residue or anything yuck left over afterwards because that just makes things more complicated. You may make a different choice for your pantry. This is the one we're making for ours. I don't need a label to know that it's pasta. It could look cute, but it's not necessary. Another issue that we frequently run into is miscellaneous jars, where we're probably not gonna have 15 of the same exact bottle of salad dressing, but we'll have quite a few different options of salad dressing because we're a family with differing tastes. That's where I love using Lazy Susans, and I place them in the corner of where our pantry setup currently is. So it takes a space that's typically very ineffective, right? Because I won't be able to reach back in there and get exactly what I need when they're all various sizes and shapes and different containers. But with a Lazy Susan, I can turn it around, put the taller items towards the middle, and then always be able to access these random jars that have no semblance of order to them, no similar sizing, and I'm sure as heck not gonna be putting them into new containers. No ma'am, we're keeping them as is. How I organize them is by stuffing them on a Lazy Susan and putting the tallest in the middle. And then everyone can see what's going on there, and I can give it quick little spin skis to make sure I know all of the inventory that's going on. Next up is all of our can storage. So we have two different options here. We have both the over-the-door option and an actual set of stand-up can racks. There are positives and negatives to both of these. I love the door rack because I can see everything at once, but I am limited on the amount of items I can put on there and the weight that it holds. Also, my family is notorious for leaving the door open, so if that doesn't stay organized, it's a hot mess express to look at. So it's fantastic for quick grab items or more lightweight things and a handful of cans, but not necessarily an effective storage solution for heavy things like canned vegetables or tomato sauce or things of that size. Now, as far as the can racks are concerned, I actually went through a couple iterations of these until I settled on this one. What I love about them is they are angled so all of the cans roll forward, so I can FIFO them, first item in, first item out, and it takes a little extra effort, but I like having it done this way, and then I can turn the labels so I know everything that's behind them. What I don't love about them is they don't look like they were built to hold cans because they get a little bit saggy towards the middle. I wish they had a nice clean straight line. They don't. It's something I can get over. They do have adjustable widths of the racks, so if I have something that's a little taller or a little smaller, I can make those adjustments accordingly, but they don't effectively fit the smaller containers that hold stuff like Ortega grain chilies or sliced olives. Those end up looking a little bit funky, as well as some of the tuna cans because they're like not as tall as the other ones. They don't fit as well. It's not going to be a perfect solution for every single can possible. I also have to be more mindful about the organization because sometimes I have enough of one kind of can to fit in a section, but then I have like a miscellaneous gathering of like canned fruit that I don't even know why we own because we don't consume canned fruit, but they're all in the same row together. So that just reminds me, oh yeah, this is the canned fruit row that I'm probably not going to look at and eventually we'll need to just get rid of. And then as much as I was knocking the clear containers, we do have quite a few of them. Because what we do is we shop at a place called the Azure Standard, where we get to buy things in bulk. We also shop at Sam's Club and Costco. So a lot of times it doesn't make sense to put a 25-pound bag of flour on our shelf in our pantry. Instead, I'll move it over into a clear container that has some sort of label on it unless the item is very obvious what it is. And then continue to pull from our bulk storage to fill up those containers once they become empty. I did not buy all of them from the same location, but instead opted for all clear glass. So they still feel very cohesive when you put them all together, but I'm not limited to going to Home Goods once a week to make sure I'm buying every single clear item I see there, or heading to the container store that is nowhere near my house and dropping a bunch of money at a time to make my perfect pantry. But instead, I can slowly add this over time. My two favorite places for shopping for these clear items, again, probably would be the container store if I lived closer, but I don't, are one, Home Goods. I don't do that as often. Two, Ikea. This one's probably about 45 minutes away from my house, but whenever I conveniently find myself by there, I will go and buy more of these jars because one, they look like a knockoff Weck jar, and I love Weck jars, but those are so expensive, and these are not. So, and they don't have the orange, so it blends better. It's a much more neutral aesthetic. And they stack on one another, which is glorious, and I love that because that means I could be even more organized with stuff like bulk spices and items of that nature. Having a clean and organized pantry is such a good feeling, and I'm obsessed with it. That doesn't mean I'm always good at it. This has sat like this for months. I can't even tell you how long. We are not always on top of our stuff. It is normal to have seasons of life that look chaotic. It's normal to have organizational systems fail or need consistent upkeep. So give yourself a ton of grace on this and recognize that it's gonna take a while before you get the right system for you and your family. And that's okay. It takes work, but it's worth it in the end. So that's all we have for this week's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you liked the video, jump on down there, hit that like button, and subscribe to this channel so we can hang out even more and I can tell you of other ways that I'm failing in my home to make you feel better about yours. And now I'm gonna go attempt to clean my pantry because I've admitted this to the internet and it needs to be addressed. Okay, and then until next week, bye guys. Just so I can put my money where my mouth is. Y'all don't think I'm crazy because all you saw was the before. Here is the after. It's not necessarily the cutest. The top row desperately needs to be done. But this is functional. And some of it's really cute and some of it makes a lot more sense. And we have individual baskets for family snacks. So everyone knows where their specific treats are. Now there's no arguing over it, although I might swap and put those so they're all up here so all the treats are there. Okay, now we can end the video.